Hey guys, welcome back to Lush Aqua. So in today's video, we're going to be working on this beautiful 18-gallon planet tank. The dimensions of this tank are 2 feet length, 15 inches height and 12 inches depth, and the volume of this tank is around 18 gallon. Now when we set this tank up, we only used tissue culture plants. We did not choose to use any hardscape, that is rocks or driftwood. So this would be considered a plant only planted tank. We have been injecting CO2 in it as well. And as I mentioned earlier, we have used tissue culture plants, so we had to convert all these plants from immersed to submerged, and successfully we have converted almost all of them to submerged. But in this video, I'm going to show you how you can remove a specific plant or change the position of a specific plant in your planted tank. In this case, we want to remove a specific plant from this planted tank. As you can see here, we've used the Ludwigia needle leaf on the right, and we've used the same plant in the center as well, and this is the plant we want to remove or replace in this planted tank. Now we're going to be using the Rotala Blood Red to replace the Ludwigia needle leaf. Now the only reason I would suggest you follow these steps is because usually when you try to uproot any plant, a lot of debris from the substrate gets suspended into the water, and that settles on all your other plants, and that could lead to algae issues as well. So you could follow this video. These are step by step over the years what I have learned how to replace a plant fully and successfully. So let's begin. Now in order to replace the plant, first you need to chop it from the bottom. I wouldn't say chop it too close to the bottom, but just leave an inch of the plant from the bottom, so you can use that inch of the plant to pluck out all the roots as well. So now I've finished cutting all the plants to that 1 inch length, and I can start removing all the roots out. Now when you're removing the roots out, you would want to be very careful that none of the debris is suspended into the water. You want to be as careful and slow as possible. Now after chopping the plants and then removing the roots as well, you would want to collect all these plants so you have some better visibility before you start planting the next plant. So I suggest you could use a net for this job. It does it really well. Now I use a big net for catching all the big debris, like the big plant cutouts, and I also use a shrimp net to catch the small leaves that pass through the bigger net. So that's what I'm doing here. This is how it should look like when you actually remove all the plants out successfully. If you see a lot of debris, I would suggest you siphon that area as well, but do it with a smaller pipe with less pressure so you don't get any mud as well. But if you don't have debris, like how I don't have much debris, you can go ahead with the next step, that would be planting. We're going to be using the Rotala Blood Red. Now when we use any stem plants, or when we are working with stem plants, I usually suggest, or I usually recommend people use a wet newspaper underneath the plant to cover the plant as well, because this keeps the plant moist till you are done planting. Usually when you have a lot of stem plants to plant, you would end up drying most of the other plants, and that would get spoiled. So this is just a small tip, so to keep the plants fresher. So when you're planting, or if you take a long time as well, the plants still stay fresh. And now I'm going to just continue planting these plants here. The whole idea is to get it as full as possible. If you have a fewer plants, now here we're using more than 30 to 40 stems. If you're using lesser plants, you would want to keep the plants a little far away from each other so they grow quickly. They all get light, they grow quickly, and you could trim and replant them, and then you could get them bushy. We are trying to get the bushy look from the start here, so we are planting them close to each other in bunches. Now once you planted the new plants, I wouldn't advise you to go ahead and check the height of the plant or try to disturb the plant a lot. These plants, when you plant them, will be a little wilted, and over time, the next day when your CO2 switches on, your light switches on, these plants will stand up straight. So that is when you could trim the plant if needed. I wouldn't suggest trimming the plants for a few days when you just add them to the tank, especially when you're adding trimmings to the tank. Now after this you would want to do a water change. A water change is something I recommend always after you do any major work on your plant tank, whether you're trimming or replacing a plant, because usually when you're trimming or replacing a plant, a lot of these leaves, now in this case the needle leaf that we have trimmed out, a lot of these leaves will go ahead and get stuck in the other plants, and you would want to remove all these leaves thoroughly, because if these leaves get stuck there and start rotting, that would spike your ammonia and lead to a lot of algae issues as well. So you would want to do a water change. Now I am going to be siphoning the bottom here as well and removing all this debris properly. I'm going to be doing a 30 to 40% water change here. You can do a 20% as well. Now we're done with the water change, so we can go ahead and start filling the water back. So that is how you could replace a plant with another plant, or move a plant from one place to the other in your plant tank. I hope this video was useful. If it was, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. And also it will take a few hours now for these plants to settle down, and maybe by tomorrow or day after they will bloom up, and that is when we can go ahead and bring the shape back as I mentioned earlier. But that's it for this video, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, comment down below. Also don't forget to subscribe to Lush Aqua. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye, take care.